Yes, with Logos Bible, we'll begin this time at the home page. And there are several things with the home page that right away will give you some ideas to where to go. It's designed in the format of a newspaper. Here you see courses over here, a reading plan here, which I'm far behind, and other sections. This is controlled by this bar over here, or this menu over here. You choose which you want to appear in on your home page, which is this major section here. I'm sorry, this is the sidebar here that I was referring to, courses. This sidebar controls what appears here. This menu here determines what happens in this large space here. And so let's do a quick run. I'm going to check to start a prayer list. And when I come out of it, you notice that it quickly refreshes, and over here you have the get started with new prayer list. Faith Life notifications. Bob Pritchard says he has replied to a post. If I select that, it will go to my web browser, which you will not be able to see at this point. So let's go back to the software. Having done all of that, you can drag resources up here on the shortcut bar. So I've dragged several. A manual I started doing some time ago. Set up new search, use new search engine to know, etc. Various shortcuts. Right click on a shortcut to make changes to it, and you will see what is possible. One way of understanding what happens in the home screen, if I press F9 on my keyboard, and I'm going to do that in about now. And what
Enter a Bible
happens is
reference, like John
Logos starts
3:16,
to
or the
explain
name of a
itself,
passage, like
or
Jesus
rather
and the woman
explain
at the
the home
well.
page.
Then click Go to start your Bible study. The
And
help
so
menu is always available. You
I
can go
am
there and
going
choose
to
Explain this.
cancel this. Press escape to cancel. What is saying enter passage? So I'm going to enter John chapter 3 and verse 16. Drive. So I'm going to go back here. When I typed in John 3 and 16, you will notice I have a drop down box to ask me, do you want to look at Christ's witness to Nicodemus? This pericope includes John 3:16, or just this one here, or this one here. What happens is Logos opened what is sometimes considered, well, it's same as in this case, it opened a predefined layout that I've already used. So let's change that and type in something such as ZACH, Zechariah 1 and verse 1. I might have locked the computer up. Yep, still says not responding. Let's give it a little while and see exactly what is happening. CPU is maxed out, and here we go. It simply brought up a search everything for Zechariah chapter 1 and verse 1. And part of the reason why it was taking so long, found 495 results. Not quite what I had in mind, but nevertheless. So it's running through my entire library, looking for this here. So I'm going to close this panel menu here, close it, go back to the home page. I typed Zach. That's what happened. That should have been Zechariah chapter 1 and verse And let's look at one. As you can see, homepage layout, Bible reading, passage search, etc. Save layouts, which are these here, layouts that I've created. Or if I go into quick start layouts and I type Bible and commentary, it's loading. This stage, if I'm not mistaken, it will, you have it. Somehow it's, okay, there we go. So here we have Zechariah 1:1, and it's stuck on Luke 24 verse 53. This is my top commentary. I'm going to change verse 1, which will, there you go, force it now to come up to and sync the two. So this is what happens with the preset layouts, and you have several of them. Bible and commentary, journal, Greek word study, the list goes on. So I'm just seeking to give a quick overview of it. When we look at library, here all of my resources are located. Put my mouse here, I'm going to drag this across, and here I can see, let's close this in a bit. Each resource, it says the type, what type resource we have, who are the author or authors, the tags, it's a Greek manuscript in this case, and you notice the pop-up shows up. I'm going to take that out. Subjects, New Testament, papyri, the license, it's permanent, it's not temporary. Temporary would show up if you were renting. And this is one here, James G.D. Dunn, last updated, when the resource was last updated, who was the editor, most used, it shows the ranking, which one is used the most from which is not. If I come back here to resource information and I select a resource any place other than the title, if I click the title it will open it. Here it shows me all of the information that I have on this particular resource. Citation, recommend, I can share on social media. This is Logos Own Faith Life. Copyright, devices can download based on what I have registered with the software. These are all devices. Which series is it in? Collections that these resources are found. Search fields, you can search for Bible text by footnote, large text, surface text, etc. Support information, if you call them, you give them this information, said, I'm having a trouble with this resource. This is the resource information, technical details. And that's a quick overview of the library. Easiest way to find something, TITLE, New King James Version, and there we go. It pulls it up, says most used 38. And for some strange reason, it's put one here, I don't know. New King James. Okay, here we go. I'm recording. And so when I choose this one here, I scroll over, you will notice it was last updated December 12th. Most used is the resource that is most frequently used, so it has the number one beside it. When we look at the search feature, we have several areas of search. We have basic search where you can search for everything, and remember, wherever you see these perforated blue lines, the writing is in blue and it's underlined with perforated lining, it means there are additional options. So I can search everything. I can search fact book, I can search my atlas, all resources, my documents, community tags are all open resources. And if I choose open resources, it will search these two here. My top Bibles, these are all collections that I have in my library. These are pre-made by others. I did not write the rules for these. If I do a Bible search, I can search while typing, and I'll show you what this does. I cannot remember a particular passage. So if I were to type footman, it says there are 36 verses, and THEY, they. So as I'm typing, Logos is actually searching have, and it keeps narrowing down. And this is the passage that I knew it would take me to, Jeremiah chapter 12 and verse 5. Thou was run with the footmen and they have buried thee. So I chose search while typing. I can go to all text. I can use search field, surface text. If I choose here, it's search field, surface text. I can choose all passages, or I can search just in a particular book of the Bible. I can use a save range, or I can type in a new one. So let's say Exodus, and it will just save search in the book of Exodus. Of course, that is not there. Under search again, media, you can see here is the syntax that will help you. Exact phrase you would put in quotations, a Bible reference. You can search for any of the words. So in this case here, I'm searching all media and all resources, and I'm going to choose temple and lamb. I can hit enter, which I just did, or I can select the arrow here and it will perform a search. And so Logos has gone through all of the media within the library, a good bit of it, and manually tagged them to show, hey, this is one here. Now library results is saying 535 results, 521 articles, and 240 resources, 3.54 seconds. This is the reason why indexing is important and why it takes so long, because Logos has a massive index which knows where every word and every tag in every document is. And so to demonstrate that, I'm going to use basic, search everything, and I'm going to type in the word God. So right away it's searching through fuzzy Bible search, my documents, New King James Version, your books. These are books that I've created: Fact Book, Topic God, Library Resources, Library Results. Library Resources would be books that have the title or the word, God, which is my search criteria, in its title. Library Results will be Logos has gone through my entire library and found 8.4 million results in 1.1 million articles in 13,800 resources, and it took 14 seconds to do that. If you ever wanted to do that sort of a search, I don't know of anyone who would want to do that type of a search. These here, where you be more specific in searching for references in the Greek. So let's change it to New Testament, and let's say we look for idol. This time I will select the arrow. Logos will quickly make a run through the Greek New Testament. I can change this particular um, book or New Testament to maybe another Greek New Testament, UBS or NA27. And so here we find John 3:14, as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness. So once again, Logos has gone in and tagged this, and they're tagging, they believe that this thing here would refer to an island. Not sure why this was done as an idol, but that's how they have it tagged. Do not commit adultery, you who abhor idols. So it found that verse there. Morphology search, you can see. So if I went in and I said Greek, Logos, Logos knows that to translate this English or transliterate the English to Greek. So I'm telling it to look here and I can choose what I want, exactly what I'm looking for. So let's use this here. I prefer my keyboard as opposed to the mouse. And since I had added an additional version previously, it's showing me Matthew 5:32. But I say to you that everyone who divorces his wife except on the ground of sexual immorality makes her commit. Let's look at something a little easier. Word or say in this case here. Here these words of mine, so you can see it's translated several different ways based on context. It's not always translated word. And when Jesus finished, you could say these words or these sayings. Only say the word, but very often it's saying, yeah, here it's translated question. I will ask you one question. So that gives you a brief idea. Syntax, not much help here. Not something I spend a lot of time with, I must confess. Let's try one here and see what we get. Using New Testament Greek for person Abraham placed Canaan, get two results. Hebrew 11:13, and notice the word Canaan is not in the verse, but the editorial staff at Logos believes that this passage is talking about Canaan. So these all died in faith, not having received the promises. They're saying that the promise that they were waiting to receive would be their place in Canaan. Same thing here. By faith he dealt in the land of promises as in a foreign country, dwelling in tents with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. The promise was a city whose foundation maker is God. And so this requires a lot of manual tagging, reading through and making decisions on it. So that covers library search. When we go into documents, there are several. Bibliography lets you edit, annotate, and print lists of resource citations from your library. So here I can choose an entire, um, I can choose a collection of books and tell Logos to build a bibliography for me. This comes in handy when you are actually writing a paper or something of that nature. It will pre-build a bibliography for you so you don't have to type it in. You will choose from the tools menu exactly which citation style you would prefer, and that would be under program settings. So let's go there and it's a copy citations. Let's see, where are we? Text, display, internet. Okay, here we go. Citation style. I prefer to Arabian, and so it will actually do that. So I'm going to say new bibliography, and I'm going here. It's at APA. I'm going to go to Arabian. I'm going to tell it to add a collection. In my case here, and my collection will be apologetics. And right away, it builds me a bibliography on apologetics based on the rules that I have in my library, my collections. So what this will also do, because various books have been tagged as apologetic books by Logos and others in the community, I simply copy their rules in my library and it goes and builds a collection for me. I can now have a bibliography that I can say, hey, these are books that I would be using for paper. I can then choose to take out something if I don't like it in there. And that's just one of the things that you have. I can put in my notes here, as the case might be. Here the notes can be formatted. And so that's bibliography. Let's close that. Then we come to clippings, one that I like. Untitled clippings. Well, here's what this does. I'm going to copy some text. Tell it add clippings. And it simply adds the text that I've copied. It's coming from Seventh-day Adventist Bible Commentary Volume 4. You can see there's a pop-up showing the information. When I select the arrow, it gives me the bibliographic information also. I can copy this. I can change this. And Let's see. Okay, there we go. It's changing on the fly. Volume 4, page 1087. So let's try another one. Page 1087. So that's clippings. When we look at handout, this is something that can be used for giving out for a particular sermon where you'd put in your information here. I'm not going to spend any time on this one. Morph query is something I'm not familiar with, so I'm going to pass it. Your notes. Instead of creating a note, I will simply pull up notes on a book of the Bible that I've already created, notes on John, and once I open it, if I was in the book of John, I can then, and let's pull this over here, and let's say I went to John, I can then right click, choose the, in my case I prefer the reference, and tell it that I want to add, okay, here we go, a note to notes on John, and then I can type it in. Jesus is the creator. So now that's going to come here. Let's switch Bibles and notice it shows up in the English Standard Version. So any Bible that I have, it will show up in. Let's go a little further. Another one that we can look at, passage list, organized list of Bible references and other types of passage. You can create your prayer list. You can create a reading plan which lets you read any book in your life. So let's try this one here. I'm going to generate a reading plan, the New King James Version every day and finishing in 1 year by myself. Or I can say with one of the groups that I'm a part of. Let's say I start by myself, and you'll notice it says 2 here because I've done this before. And so in order to complete this reading plan, I would read beginning today 3 chapters in Genesis and just continue. Logos will configure which you will read based on the length of the chapter. Here I can edit the reading plan. You can get a pop-up here. And I know it can be edited or just go to it, I guess. So that's something here. I can also export this to Microsoft Outlook and set a time as to when I actually want to read. A reminder several minutes previous, show time is busy free, etc. So it's quite a robust software when you look at it. You have sermon, and I like this one also, sermon, untitled sermon. Let's call this sermon New Year's Eve, come on, Eve service. Adult General Sermon Series, New Year's Eve. Key topics, beginning, you hit enter, New Year, hit enter, etc. Key passages, don't have one as yet, but let's just say for argument's sake, John 3, 6:15. Christ witnesses to Nicodemus. I'll just choose the entire pericope. Description, sermon for New Year's Eve. Additional notes. Now, my heading 1. Starting, let's just say, starting over, for example. Now you'll notice already it has created one slide. I can edit this slide. I can apply the slide to all slides, to all headings, delete it. Standard for most laptops and most screens. Starting over as a picture for something later I can print. The font size, but let's see what, okay, allowing me to, thing that you can do. If, for example, I'm now launching Microsoft Word, I'm going to pull up something in Word that, okay, that is already there, information that I may already have. I'm going to copy, let's say, my sermon notes from Word, and I'm going to simply paste it in the sermon editor, and there we have it. I can now export this to Proclaim, as the case might be. So that gives you an idea of what done with sermon info. So I'm going to close that, close notes, we'll close program settings. Visual filter highlights text in any resource using searches. For example, all of the imperative statements you can highlight. But let's look at something a little with some fun in it. Untitled word puzzle. You can choose your version of the Bible, whichever version you like. And let's say Genesis chapter 1. Logos will automatically create a puzzle for you. I want extra large. I'm going to come to the panel menu and tell it allow diagonal, allow backwards, and you notice it keeps refreshing as I choose the various options. And so I now have a puzzle which I can go here and I can actually print and export. If I give you an idea what I'm talking about, I choose print, export, and right away it will go to here and I can configure this however I choose. And this is what I do, and I will send this to the person who does the bulletin, and that's it. Or I can simply find words online. So let's see if I can find something. So I drag across. Was that a word? Yes. Well, I'm not seeing it, strangely, but it allowed me to actually find it, which is unusual. Here's another one I'm seeing, morning. Okay, there we go. You notice morning is striked out now. And so you would just continue to do that, divide rather, and something is going on. Don't know why, but it's not keeping the words. So let's see if I can find another one. Abound. Said. Okay, there we go. Okay, it's running a little slow. So let's close that. So you see in the documents, passage guide. Let's take a quick look at what a passage guide will do for you. John 1 verse 2. And what it will generate, it's now generating. And because I've collapsed all of these sections, look at how quickly it comes up. Of course, I've run this passage guide before. And this is something, biblical theologies. Some of these features are only available with Logos now. Theology proper, and it's going through my library to see where this passage is are referred to under theology proper. You have systematic theologies, and under systematic theologies, what it does is it's going to look at the different areas. So let's say Christology, and it talks about the virgin birth. This comes up first, Anglican, Baptist, etc. Your biblical confessional documents, and you will see the reform. In this case, you see under outlines. Then you have music, topics, sermons, etc. Commentaries, journals. Again, it depends on which resources you have in your library. And you will see these are all journals that either discuss the text specifically or actually have it in the topic of the article. So here we have exegetical theological examination of John 1 to 18. So this would come up, and that is how they have set it. Commentaries, when we look here, the commentaries that show up again based on what you have in your library and how you prioritize them. Now, I don't like this one here because it just shows me, oh, it's the SCA Bible commentary. I already know that. So in this case here, if I choose New Testament commentaries, it's still showing me that. Not much help. What I actually need to do, choose the amount of commentaries at a time. It would be easier for what I would like is, let's see now, I'm going to add let's see, commentaries. I'm looking for collections. Okay. New Testament academic commentaries. And I'm still getting this here. What I'm trying to do, I don't know if it's a feature that may have been taken out. I'm a bit behind. I wanted to see the pop-up of the information rather than the picture of the book along with a brief description. I wanted to see what this particular commentary had on the resource, but for some strange reason, I'm not able to see it. And so that's passage guide. The next one would be exegetical guide, which looks at the passage and breaks it down word by word. Are there variants, textual variants? Let's open this up. This is Latin, so I'll leave that alone there. Leslie Allen, 2827 edition. Greek New Testament, Society of Biblical Literature, Scrivens, Textus, Receptus. Okay, show text comparison. If I choose that, here's what happens. It's going to now look at the major 27 and 28. As you can see, they are identical. Same thing here. Society of Biblical Literature, Greek New Testament. This here is Analytical Greek New Testament, which is similar here. And this is the Textus Receptus, which again is identical. So they're the same. They're all the same. There's no difference here. I'm looking at verses. I can also choose interlinear. But let's go back to verses. In order to understand Logos, one of the things I would suggest that you quickly learn, right-click in Logos is your friend. So I choose this particular edition here, Nestle Allen Greek New Testament 28th edition. And I say, I'm interested in this, or this here. I can open link, open a new tab. I choose the top one, the selection. I can copy, can do in search on Wikipedia, run additional searches, or I can send to Proclaim Church presentation software. So that is another feature that can actually be used here. So remember, right click is your friend with logos. So let's close all of these. Now, to close all of these, I can close them by selecting the X or going to the panel menu one by one and choosing close. Another way, in the command box, close all, and I hit enter. But what I have done is drag this up to the shortcut bar, which is this here. So all I have to do is select the close all command and everything is gone. So that's your passage. Let's look at Bible word study now. Eucharistio in all passages. Or Eucharistio. There we go. So textual searches, where it's found in the different Greek resources within my library, lemma and passage and commentaries, phrases. So all of these are areas that you can begin to explore to see how is this word used. I choose senses, to be thankful, to thank. And so I said the Eucharist, which means basically it came from the Greek word Eucharistio, which is saying giving thanks. Someone took exception to that and got into a hissy fit. It's translated to give thanks when you're given thanks. And the list goes on. That's what Bible word study do. That's Greek. So notice I typed the English word, put Greek colon in front, and Logos now looks at the Greek. So when I click phrases, teachings related to the person and work of Christ may be used to refer to divine revelation, okay? And they give an example here. Word, let's see, this is logos of the word. Okay, maybe use topic guide word, and if I click one, it's going to open my topic guide where I can now look at how the word of God is used. And here it's pulling up several dictionaries, which Logos calls encyclopedias. That's how it's tagged. So that's Bible word study. I can also run a Bible word here. Okay, God. Save as, send to PowerPoint print. I can save this as a file, as I showed you earlier. If I click a word here, it's going to pop out a little. And in Colossians, it's 22 times. Phrases, again, coming into the topic guide, lemon passage and commentaries, textual searches. That's the Greek. It does the same thing for the Hebrew word. I can study that word based on my Bible dictionaries. So that's Bible word study, sermon starter guide. Let's say that's too large. Luke chapter 1 and verse 1. So I'm running a sermon starter guide in Luke 1 and 1. What Logos does again, says, what is your theme? Assurance, education, sermons. Martin Luther has a sermon on this, and this is based on your library. And then thematic outlines, approaches to witnessing, history. Let's look under history, synopsis, God's control over historical events. These are all breakout ideas that you can use to help jumpstart the sermon. Then it looks through my journals to see what I have on this particular passage. Collections. So what do I have in my collections? All resources. Again, you can configure it from here. And I can probably just say new, N-E-W, and let's say New Testament background. So all collections with New Testament, all books in the collection New Testament background that have this particular passage in it, Logos will pull up. So it quickly narrows it down. No interactives, media results, resources. Let's see what it pulls up. As you can see, sound faith. These are sermons that others have already done. I'll minimize that. Then there's the bookstore, so media resources that they say refers to Luke. Here's a physician. Luke was a physician, so here's a picture of a physician, the Gospel of Luke. So based on the pictures or the media resources you have in your library, Logos has tagged them to say which verses they relate to. You have outlines, parallel passages, topics. So that's an overview of the guide section. And then of course we come to tools, and they have made some changes with Atlas. You now need to be online because they said it's so large it probably would not fit on your hard drive, possibly several gigabytes or terabytes by now. So I'm in here and I type in JERU. So once I start typing, Logos is now asking, do you want the metropolitan area? Jerusalem, Jews plan to kill Paul. People in Jerusalem, the apostles' time. And if I choose, let's say this one here, it's going to find this section on the map which deals with Jerusalem based on the selection that I have here. And so you have Jerusalem here. Now, the other thing that Logos has done, choose terrain flat or choose terrain. And I'm looking to see where it is. So let's right click. Okay. Open in Google Maps. Here we go. So when you click this, it will open inside of Google Maps and show you what it looks like today. I have not set it up so you can see my browser, so unfortunately it will not work, but I'm going to open in Google Maps, and as I said, you cannot see my browser. Let's see if I can quickly add a scene. Okay, okay, that's not going to work. So let's get back to scene 2. Okay, I think I just lost you. In terms of choosing my scenes, and my computer's just locked up on me. Okay, if you're still there, I've officially locked myself out of the computer and will have to restart because nothing seems to be working at this stage. experience for you. So there we go. Now let's continue with where we were. So that is a general overview. As I said, that was Atlas. You have Bible Browser, Concordance, one that I like. Give you a quick idea. I ran a concordance on the book Steps to Christ. It will run a concordance on any resource in your library, by the way. And so now I can find every instance where the word, let's say, life, is found in this particular book, page 5, 6, and a pop-up will show where it's actually there. I can define by surface large heading text. If I chose the New King James Version, and I can tell it word in all passages, but I only want the book of Revelation, let's say. So now it's going to generate and find words in the book of all the words in the New King James Version, but only in the book of Revelation. And as you can see, you have various options here. And so while that is generating, let's take a look at some other stuff. Explorer, which is another tool, and interactive media. If you get Logos 7, get Logos now. It's a subscription, but I do believe it's worth it. You have various interactive media. Logos has come panel, or I can simply say show reading view. And here's what we get. Protestant tradition. Where are we? Here we go. There's no way to dock the panel. So running. There are quite a number of these interactive media. Don't have time. Under Psalms Explorer. Here we go. I acknowledge my sin to you, my iniquity I have not hidden.